Help! I was born blind. Please, help for the poor blind man.
What, art mad? A man may see how this world goes with no eyes.
In this room sits a remarkable woman. She's Miss Helen Keller.
See how yond justice rails upon yond simple thief. Hark, in thine ear, change places. And handy-dandy, which is the justice? Which is the thief?
The former judge was convicted for accepting money in exchange for incarcerating thousands of adults and children into prison facilities owned by a developer who was paying him under the table.
The same judge also sentenced youngsters for, listen to this, stealing a jar of nutmeg, posting webpage jokes about a school official just to fill up the detention centers.
Do you remember me? Do you remember me? Do you remember my son? An all-star wrestler? He's gone. He shot himself in the heart. You scumbag!
Thou hast seen a farmer's dog bark at a beggar, and the creature run from the cur. There, thou mightst behold the great image of authority. A dog's obeyed in office.
You just follow orders? You don't know?
That's correct.
So you don't know anything, you're just here, just following orders? You just get told what to do, you come down here and just do it, right?
Just a good German.
Thou rascal beetle, hold thy bloody hand. Why dost thou lash that whore?
I stand in strong support of this proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution to uphold and affirm traditional marriage.
Strip thine own back, thou hotly lust to use her, in that kind for which thou whipst her.
That was your Louisiana congressman. That was David Vitter.
Senator Vitter ran for office as a family values guy and called on President Clinton to resign for his indiscretion. And then he admitted to being a client of the D.C. Madam.
Through tattered clothes, small vices do appear. Robes and furred gowns hide all.
Thomas was only 13 years old when he was subjected to sexual abuse. It took him 30 years to muster the courage to talk about it and to accuse two of his former teachers, both priests.
I was raped about 150 to 200 times by 4 or 5 different priests. One time the institution's medic gave me drugs to subdue me. Then he and the priest ravaged me for more than an hour in the most brutal ways you can imagine.
The real scandal is that one of the offenders was allowed to continue to abuse again and again for another 30 years in a dozen towns and schools.
Plate sin with gold, and the strong lance of justice hurtless breaks.
3 years after a horrific financial crisis caused by massive fraud, not a single financial executive has gone to jail.
Arm it in rags. A pygmy's straw does pierce it.
The family of a Bakersfield man upset tonight that their loved one could spend the rest of his life behind bars for allegedly stealing donuts.
None does offend, none I say, none. I'll able 'em. Take that of me, my friend, who have the power to seal the accuser's lips.
The Justice Minister here accused the Vatican of obstructing investigations into the alleged abuse in the schools.
Wigland resigned as Archbishop in 2002 after admitting the Archdiocese secretly paid $450,000 to a man who accused him of sexual abuse.
She believes the Vatican built up a wall of silence, citing a directive from 2001 which says the most severe abuse cases should be subject to papal secrecy. That missive was written by Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, now Pope Benedict XVI.
Pope Benedict was aware of the suspected abuse of hundreds of deaf Wisconsin boys, yet the Vatican office he headed for decades halted the process to defrock the priest.
Get thee glass eyes, and like a scurvy politician, seem to see the things thou dost not.
Mr. Mayor, do you still have zero tolerance for drugs, guns, and gangs?
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, have you purchased illegal drugs in the last 2 years?
Yes, I have.